Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to Tech Talks. Today we'll be discussing 10 reasons why your company will benefit from utilizing UCaaS. And if you aren't familiar with UCaaS, UCaaS stands for Unified Communications as a Service. So let's start out with the first one. The first one is going to be no hardware costs. However, that's if you don't want the hardware costs. So with utilizing UCaaS, you are able to have a soft and a hard phone. So for example, I'm able to have I'm able to have a soft phone on my laptop where I'm able to make and receive calls, as well as I have it on my cell phone. And then with the hardware costs is you are able to, typically a lot of UCaaS providers, you are able to have a monthly rental. So you aren't having to invest money in buying them outright, or sometimes they even have deals where you are able to, it's included in the plan that you're able to have a hard phone. And obviously it just depends on your preference, but that is definitely a benefit, because I know for me is when I'm traveling especially, is being able to utilize both my laptop and my cell phone, especially when I'm in different areas. It's definitely a huge benefit that I'm able to be available for anyone. So let's go on to the next one, which is going to be unified services. So with UCaaS, you are able to unify all the different tools of how you communicate with other people all into one. So for example, chat, phone, video, meetings. And so with a lot of the different UCaaS providers, that's how you are able to kind of, collaborate all into one, which in turn enhances collaboration for your team and makes it easier that everyone's able to communicate on a more fluid level. Especially, you're on a call and you need a quick answer from somebody, you're able to chat them. Or the whole idea that you're able to see visibility. So if you need to speak to somebody, you're able to see, hey, they're on a call right now, and then you are able to, effectively communicate, and you're not sitting there ringing and ringing and ringing, and it goes straight to voicemail, and now you just wasted your time, which I know with everyone, time is valuable. So that's definitely a huge benefit, and even being able to send directly, meeting links through the chat, able to set up calls more effectively and efficiently. And in turn, it allows your employees and yourself to be able to be more efficient during the day. And so the second benefit is going to be on that usage basis. So, you're paying for how many users you have on a monthly subscription, which is definitely a huge benefit. And it's something that, it becomes more of a CapEx an OpEx versus a CapEx, which I know a lot of the industry is going towards, especially with SaaS, is, being able to pay those monthly subscriptions rather than having to invest a whole lot of money up front. And then going into that is it definitely allows for a scalability. So when you're able to scale up and down at the touch of your fingertips is huge, especially for companies that are growing, or wherever your company is. I think that's a huge benefit, because you're just able to go through the portal and automatically set up a new number and a new phone line, and they're up and running within minutes. And so they're able to download like the soft phone immediately, and that definitely allows for better flow of communication, especially if there is a need of urgency. And on top of it is it allows you to manage your phone line so much better, because you're looking through a portal. You have them working with HR is who exactly is the employee list, because there's been so many times where I just I just did it, was I was helping one of our customers that they had POTS lines that they've been paying for 6 years that they didn't even know what they were being utilized for. And so, you're not having to go through, especially if you're a larger company, you're not having to go through these long bills trying to figure out, whose numbers, whose, and, who's like, and just, it gets very, very complicated and complex. And so it's definitely simplicity, and it goes back to saving you time. And so with that, let's go into the next one, which is going to be integrations. So now with obviously more and more SaaS platforms coming out, how are you able to effectively manage all of these tools in one? How can they be integrated? So for example, this is definitely a huge benefit that I know a lot of our customers say is the integrations with UCaaS providers into CRMs, especially for salespeople, being able to track, who they're calling, who's calling them, and it definitely leads to a more streamlined communication. And you already know who you're speaking with and who you're talking to, the background and everything, which is definitely a huge benefit. And if you're watching this and you already are utilizing UCaaS, really looking at what can my current UCaaS provider integrate with. And that is definitely a huge benefit, especially if you've already invested into a specific provider, is making sure that you're able to utilize all of their functionalities that fit your best business needs. And so if you are looking to integrate with a new platform or a new SaaS platform, and making it easier for you to manage all of those tools as well, that's definitely a huge benefit. And again, time. And so I know how important that is. And so with integrations and not having to manage all of these different complex systems separately, with those integrations, it definitely helps businesses. So going on to another thing about time is the reduced IT load. So especially, and I've kind of touched a little bit on points with them, but not having to really manage and take on so much with the existing your existing phone infrastructure is with UCaaS. The providers are doing a lot of that heavy lifting, especially with security on the back end with the cloud. Just it's so much easier for IT, and you're able to focus more on your core business needs. And I always say this, and I just think it's so important, is being able to really focus on the core IT business needs that can help your company grow, or whatever your vision is. If your company's vision is to provide the best customer experience, being able to really make sure that you have all of those tools that you're able to provide that to your customers and keep up with that promise. And even with UCaaS, that adds to it. If you're still utilizing POTS lines at your, if you're a retailer, for example, and you're still using POTS lines at your different locations, what do you have on those POTS lines? How could your customer experience be better? With IVR self-servicing now that you're able to utilize through UCaaS, how will that benefit my company? But it all aligns, and I always will say this as well, is, look at your vision and where you want to go, and then, take this into account is, okay, can that get me to that better customer experience? Or how can I be servicing my customers better if, your mission is to have the best customer experience out there? And so going off of that and talking about POTS lines, is another benefit is the reduced costs. And I know everyone says this, but the POTS lines are increasing. I think the largest one I've seen as of now, that it was just last week, it was about, I think, $333 a month for a POTS line, which is crazy. And, with UCaaS, it's a lot lower than that. So definitely with the reduced cost is obviously a huge benefit to companies, and especially just being able to also, kind of talking about the not having to invest in hardware, is definitely that you have the option to not have hardware, but what I said before is it definitely comes at a lower cost. So, and then kind of touch base on it, but managing security updates, that's all a lot of heavy lifting on the cloud providers. But where I'm going with this though is making sure though that the UCaaS provider that you're looking at or that you're wanting to go with, that they're able to make those, or not meet those needs. So, if you have to be PCI compliant or GDPR, really making sure that you're asking and seeing, okay, what are your certifications and where are you compliant in, which is definitely huge, and just asking questions. That's what I always say. It's just make sure you ask those questions or think about those questions. Or, if you don't know what questions to ask, I'd be more than happy to help out with that. So I've already talked about, the scalability, and I've talked about the simple, user setup of being able to go scale up and down just so easily, which I think that's big, and it's a big time saver. And with the ability to have the calls and everything included in your monthly plans, I definitely think that's a benefit too. With the in terms of cost analysis, you're not looking at, oh no, how much is my bill going to be this month? You're able to, have a set forth budget of, what you're going to be utilizing, what your plan is, which I think is definitely huge, especially with companies trying to save money and trying to budget, especially for budgeting for the next year, is definitely a large benefit. And obviously, you get the support. I definitely think, and I always say this about, if you're looking at any technology or trying to get anywhere, is making sure that you really know how that partner, the unified communications as a service partner, how they can support you, especially, if you incur in any issues, and, how will they support me? And I think that's definitely a huge question to ask, because, I know communication is the fundamentals of a company. And so if you're not able to communicate, how are you going to run your business effectively and efficiently? And how are you going to be able to serve your customers? How are you going to be able to help? And so definitely making sure and asking those questions of, what support do you receive and what support do you get? Because as we know, technology, sometimes it fails. And, today my computer crashed, and, I just had to work through it. And so I always say is that support is huge, and just asking those questions or even getting references is definitely going to be a huge benefit. And so with that, I think I gave 10, maybe I gave 11, maybe I gave 8. I don't know, but where I'm going with this is that definitely unified communications as a service will be a huge benefit to your company. And if you don't know which provider, or you don't know where to start, or if you don't know, how to build that future roadmap, you can always reach out to me, and I always will leave my contact information below, and we can discuss, we can create a roadmap. I can, give you what my experience is with the different providers, how will that fit into how your company is and where you want to go. And so with that, happy Wednesday again, and stay tuned for next episode. It's going to be coming out on Sunday, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.